I'm here to talk to you about comedy, feminism, and the First Amendment, because I got fucked by this administration. And I'm going to walk you through it. First of all, I'm going to read you the First Amendment. And by the way, I have it on a t-shirt, which I sell at kathygriffin.com. Of my own fucking money. Like, nobody gave me seed money. I was like, here's some money, see if you can make t-shirts. All right, so I'm going to read you the First Amendment verbatim, because most people don't quite understand it. And then I'm going to tell you my little story. And then I'm going to warn and hope that it doesn't happen to you. All right, so here we go. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. All right, so that's right. It's still around. Clap while it's still around. I give it a week. I give the First Amendment a week. All right, so look. What happened to me on May 30th, 2017 changed my life irrevocably. So don't act like you don't know all of the crazy red-haired lady from the photo, right? So yes, by the way, I'm global now. Paltrow sells t-shirts. I fucking sell t-shirts in Cairo, motherfuckers. Yes, I will. People, oh, get this shit. Look, I sell mugs that say fuck Trump. Sorry about the straw. I'm gonna fucking destroy it and it's ruining the environment. Fuck me. All right, so. And you don't have to trademark it. And it's not a violation of the First Amendment. Okay, so anyway, what happened to me was I took a photo that many of you may know of, and I just took it at my house with this photographer who won't give me the fucking copyright, by the way, and his name is Tyler Shields. So fuck him. All right, but he's probably gonna make a lot of money on the photo. Now, that day, I'm gonna talk about ageism and sexism and all that shit. So I'm 58 years old. Look at this body. Are you kidding me? Yes, objectify me if you have to. All right, so calm down. It's a fucking joke. All right, so anyway, I took a picture, and as many of you know, it went global very quickly and stuff. But what I didn't know at the time was that there was already like an apparatus in place to take me down. So I've learned a lot in the last year and a half, and the reason I'm on a new mission is because I really do believe if it could happen to me, it can happen to you. So I'll tell you what happened. I was taking photos because I had been canned by Bravo, where I worked for 10 years, and prior to that, I worked for NBC Uni. So, oh, by the way, I know Trump. He's a fucking psycho. Like, believe everything you read, and he's so stupid. He's like Britney Spears stupid. He's what I call aggressively stupid. Okay, that aside, I could talk about that nutbag all night. I can tell there's a lot of big MAGA fans here. I'm kidding. I'm hoping that's not the case. He's mentally unstable. All right, anyway, so I knew him, and the idea that he would target me was ironic because I took a photo of a Halloween mask with ketchup on it, and I was taking wacky photos that day because, you know, I would say that over my career, and I am a small business owner, and it's the business of Kathy Griffin, my money doesn't make money, and I don't make money unless I'm boots on the ground, telling my dick jokes town to town, or having a television show, and I've had 3 shows with my title with my name in the title, and now I'm currently blacklisted by all of television. So that's a real thing. So one of the reasons is because people are still scared of me and they think I'm risky and all this other shit. So when that picture went live on the interweb on a piece of shit blog called TMZ, fuck them. All right, so yeah, you heard me. Now, yeah, it's a guilty pleasure, whatever. So get this shit. I'm gonna tell you a bunch of stuff you're not supposed to know. So Harvey Levin, who's a gay man, is this big maggot. Like, he's not just a Republican, he's like a hardcore Trump fan. And so what happened was, I don't know what happened, but I'm pretty sure Don Jr. just called him and said, do a hit piece on Kathy Griffin. So I took the photo, and then this photographer sends it to TMZ of all places. And I was vindicated months later, because Harvey Levin did an interview with the Daily Beast, and he said that he talks to President Trump multiple times a week and considers himself to be Donald Trump's personal publicist. Take it in, fuckers. Think about that. Did you want President Obama calling Perez Hilton for policy advice? That's crazy. So that's where we are. So they started the intimidation campaign, and the reason I want to talk to you guys today is because what happened to me, whether you like me or my photo or my comedy or any of it, it truly was historic and unprecedented in the worst kind of way. So I've met with many esteemed First Amendment attorneys. I've done all the research I can, and never in the history of this great country has a sitting United States president use the full power of the Oval Office, the First Family, the right-wing media, all of it, and the Department of Justice to try to take down an American citizen, much less a female comedian. And their job wasn't just to take me down professionally. Don Jr. actually went on GMA and said to Stephanopoulos, oh, we don't just want to decimate Kathy Griffin's career, we want to decimate her life. So that's where we are. And a lot of people think I had it coming or whatever, but I wanted to walk you through sort of the seriousness of it because it went farther with me than anyone else who allegedly made threats against the president. So what happened was the picture went live, it went on TMZ, and wait, I brought you some of the titles, you're gonna shit, hold on. So here's the deal. So the picture goes live, and by the way, I was so naive. Like, I just took the picture at my house, and people are saying, like, where was your team and your people? I go, I'm like a one-man band. It was like a bro with a couple helpers. We took wacky pictures before that never saw the light of day. And yeah, I wanted to take a photo that would shame the Donald. He wants to be called the Donald. Can you imagine? Like when he's meeting with Kim Jong-un. Like he thinks Kim Jong-un's gonna say, call me the Un. He's a fucking psycho. All right, anyway. So when you have it coming directly from the Oval Office, TMZ's title was, Kathy Griffin beheads President Trump. Now, I'm gonna make fun of you fuckers to your faces because it's in LA. People in LA think TMZ is the newspaper. So I'm just in an industry where there's a lot of people that are like, have you heard the news? Kathy Griffin's joined ISIS and she's beheading people now. I have not joined ISIS. I worked at the gift shop for like a week and, oh boy. All right. Shit. And to think, I'm getting $150,000 for this speech. All right. Breitbart News, Kathy Griffin beheading, Hollywood's feminist A-list cashes in on global suffering of people of color, culturally appropriating the Islamic State beheading. All right, I remember Andrew Breitbart, may he not rest in peace, fuck that guy. So that was like a psycho website that now like the fucking president reads and thinks is real. So this shit gets perpetuated now in a way that it just wouldn't have 10 years ago. Then it showed up on real news. Like I found many local broadcasts, like ABC Local, right? So a lot of people, most Americans don't even have basic cable, right? Well, not this fucking room, but normal Americans who aren't flying to Mars, just have a television. Anyway, so it would show up on the local news. So think about like, not you guys, but like your older relatives and shit, that they watch their Channel 7 news every night and they take it as the news. So now it's that Kathy Griffin has joined ISIS, and that's very plausible. They are recruiting a lot of 58-year-old female comedians. Yeah, and they have about as many comedy clubs as the ones on Mars, where I'm gonna go right after that Riyadh lunch. Anyway, so then the intimidation campaign started. And when you think about how crazy it is that the President of the United States would tweet at a comedian for, taking a photo that aggrieved him. I mean, that was it. Oh, and by the way, it was inspired by, remember when he famously said to that piece of shit, Megyn Kelly, there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever. And Nazi leanings aside, I still felt like doing the mask would be sort of like a spin on that. Like, let's see how he likes it when there's blood coming out of his wherever. All right, that's as deep as I went. But get this shit. Later on, Hillary Clinton puts in her audiobook, she goes, I couldn't believe the fuss they made over Kathy Griffin's photo. Obviously, she was doing a send-up of Perseus and Medusa. Ron, I don't know who that is, but if you guys ever hear me say that on a talk show, just back me up, because I can sound like super smart if I go on PBS or anything. Not with Charlie Rose. Oh, me too, me three. All right, I know them all. I know everyone is coming down the pike. Give me a call. Yeah, I have a list. All right, yeah, fear me. All right, anyway, I just wanted to tell you, one of the reasons that I've sort of been vindicated and the things I learned, it took a long time to learn. Like, even though I knew Harvey Levin was talking to President Trump, it sounded so crazy that when I would say it to people, they would say, oh, Kathy, you're crazy. And so it was good that he gave that interview like an idiot, but it was good. So also, there was the intimidation campaign, which in my industry actually had an effect. And TMZ was reporting, I was in the middle of a 50-city tour. And I was about 25 cities in. And TMZ was reporting my tour cancellations in real time. So obviously they knew almost before I knew, which was weird. So every single paying gig that I had for the rest of my life went away in 12 hours. And as many of you know, CNN decided to make me breaking news. Kathy Griffin joins ISIS and won't be doing New Year's Eve anymore. Yeah, because you know me. I'm actually the CFO of ISIS. I really have risen through the ranks, doing the jungle gym and the bars over in Raqqa. I really put my time in. All right, so you guys, I'm not in ISIS, okay? You're like my mother looking at me right now. My mother called me that day and she goes, Jesus Christ, I was watching Sean Hannity. Did you join Al-Qaeda? Thanks, Mom. Anyway, so another thing is all these like hit pieces started coming out against me, but in the kind of media that people in my industry read, right? So what's great is, I don't know if you're following up with all the Russia stuff, but David Pecker, the CEO of AMI Media, he fucking flipped. He flipped and he's talking to Mueller. So you know they're gonna find emails where the Donald is like reaching out to David Pecker personally going, oh, do something with Kathy Griffin where you say she has lupus. I'm not kidding. So if you guys don't know this, AMI, they're known mostly for the Inquirer and the Globe. So it's easy to write them off like, oh, who cares about the Inquirer? But they did this big acquisition later and they ended up like, these are the ones that would sort of affect like the people that might hire me, like a showrunner or a producer or something like that. They also, there was a piece about me in Us Weekly that said I had lupus. So that can make me unemployable as well as uninsurable. In Touch magazine, Life and Style, OK, The Inquirer. So I know these are like silly magazines for a foofy crowd like this, but people believe that shit. And people that come to see me on tour, maybe they believe that shit, right? So to lose everything in 12 hours and not have violated the First Amendment is what I want to talk to you about. Because what happened was a lot of people thought that I violated the First Amendment. So let me tell you how I did and how I didn't. Because people would go online, and there were the bot farms and all that shit, and they couldn't delineate between the First Amendment rights and yelling fire in a theater, which is wrong. So what I did was I held up an offensive photo, and that did not violate the First Amendment in any way. I mean, there are photos similar on the cover of Der Spiegel or all that other stuff. So I hope you guys know that part, but I did not violate the First Amendment in any way. Now, if you yell fire in a theater, the reason it is against the First Amendment, against the law, is that you are doing a call to action for people to do something immediately where people will inevitably be physically hurt. So what I did, even though the right wing was trying to say I was inciting violence, and to this day, every Trump rally, there's like a manipulated photo of me, and it goes, Kathy Griffin equals ISIS equals CNN. First of all, I worked at CNN one fucking night a year, okay? That wasn't my job, I tour. But anyway, so yelling fire in a theater calls for action. Now, if I had gone to the White House with 20 people, and I had machetes, and I had a key to the White House, and I said, all right, everybody, in 5 minutes, we're gonna go in and chop off the president's head. Even that's actually covered, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm a professional comedian. So it's actually covered under the umbrella. Now, questioning me, I would say that would be fine. I also am not suggesting that anyone go anywhere with a machete, even Mars. All right, so there's the difference. So are you guys getting it? I didn't yell fire in a theater, I didn't break the law. So a big part of the media intimidation campaign was convincing regular Americans that I had broken the law. Lock her up, right? So what happened though was for me to lose my business and not have one single paid day of work in front of me for the rest of my life, which is where I am now. Think about that. Think about if you didn't have one single day of paid work ahead of you for the rest of your life because the president tweeted against you. And then the First Lady, Melanie, that fucking piece of shit. Remember, I really don't care, do you? So then the very next day, and this is the part that a lot of people don't know, I also want to let you know I'm the only person who was targeted in this way. So there were some dudes who allegedly made threats to the president, like Johnny Depp got like drunk somewhere and fucking rolled out of a dumpster or whatever, and he allegedly made a threat. You can smell him from a mile away, Johnny. All right, so he allegedly made a threat and nothing happened to him. 4 days later, he's taking a fucking picture with his Make-A-Wish kid because he's got the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise like protecting him, right? And the singer Morrissey allegedly made a threat and nothing happened to him. Snoop Dogg allegedly made a threat. He's too much of a pussy to like fuck with Snoop, right? So I was the only one. And I don't think anyone thinks Snoop Dogg is gonna really kill any president, right? So the very next day, I got a call from one of my many attorneys. They all love me. All their kids are going to college because of Mrs. Kathy. All right, so one of my attorneys called and said, I got a call from the DOJ, and 2 federal agencies are opening an open-ended investigation against you. So just take that in, because a lot of people think I just got like a call or I sort of got a little media smackdown. No, it's still going on. The FBI actually came to my house as recently as October 29th. And what I've learned, by the way, is now that I am just consumed with death threats, physical and otherwise, is I am not against the government after all this shit. I actually love the FBI. So it's odd that concurrently I was being investigated by the US Attorney's Office and the Secret Service. And I was also being protected by the FBI. And by the way, here's the way they do it. If they call your lawyer, it's like a little threat. If they get a hold of you personally, like we need to talk to Miss Griffin, it's kind of serious. So on the 29th, they fucking came over unannounced, 2 of them. And I was in my PJs, and they have no sense of humor, but every time the FBI comes over to tell me about a new threat, I go like this, Norm! It's like Cheers! You know, because, all right. So I'm like in my PJs, and they read me this thing called a duty to warn, and it's a letter they have to read you when you're under what's called a credible threat. So I said, all right, boys, what is it this time? And they had already called me previously to let me know that I was on the MAGA bomber list, that guy Cesar Sayak. By the way, how the fuck did he drive around Miami in that van for 2 years? Nobody from Miami pulled that shit over? All right, anyway, so they said, are you aware of the MAGA bomber? And I go, yeah, you guys just called me. Told me I was on the list. And they said, well, we're here today because he shared the list with like-minded people. And I said, okay, how many like-minded people? And they said, well, we can't tell you, it's an active investigation. So I said, was it a specific threat? Like I've had some threats where they go, I'm gonna come to your Orlando show and shoot you in the cunt and then cut your head off. That's their assassination of choice. And you guys are freaked out or numb? What's happening? This is like being on Mars, right? I know, I told you guys are there. So then, keep in mind that I'm under 2 federal investigations, and at this point, I'm just shaking. So this was the day after the photo. So I'm going back to the day it happened. And so I then got a real First Amendment attorney. At first I had Lisa Bloom, and she was horrible. I'm just saying, I'm exercising my First Amendment right now. She sucked. All right, so I got a real one, and I got the guy that won the landmark Supreme Court case, Jerry Falwell versus Hustler magazine, like the real guy in the People versus Larry Flynt. Because when you're in this much trouble, you want that fucking guy. You want someone who won a Supreme Court case for a porn guy. All right, so anyway, he had to negotiate with the US Attorney's Office because when he first told me that I was under investigation and it was open-ended, I said, I don't even know what this means. I've never been arrested. What happens? And he said, well, open-ended means open-ended. They can do, they can keep it open as long as you want. I said, what are they investigating me for? And he said, they're considering charging you with, wait for it, conspiracy to assassinate the President of the United States, which holds a lifetime sentence. And the reason the US Attorney's Office was on deck was if the Secret Service found anything, the US Attorney's Office would be ready to prosecute. So I'm here to say, I don't want that to ever happen to you, okay? You may not like that fucking picture, that's fine. But if you have a 13-year-old kid and they put that picture up online, you shouldn't have to spend $500,000 in legal bills, and you shouldn't be under a federal investigation, which is historic. Even the great Lenny Bruce, it was local PD. Even the great Jane Fonda, local PD. I'm the first. And that's why I want to tell you about it, because it's real. I was put on the no-fly list for 2 months, like a terrorist. I travel for a living. And going in for the interrogation under oath took 2 months to negotiate and a lot of money, and I'll tell you why. Do you know what they wanted? The DOJ would call my First Amendment attorney every single day for 2 months. Is she coming in? Is she coming in today? Is she coming in? Did you get her to come in? 2 months. So obviously it was covered under the First Amendment because obviously it was no imminent threat, right? And I said to my attorney, what do they mean come in? And he said, look, they're just fucking with you. And I said, well, I kind of know that, but what exactly do they mean by coming in? Have I broken the law? And he said, no. And I said, have I violated the First Amendment in any way? And he said, no. And I said, well, then what do they want besides they're scaring me shitless and I'm getting death threats beyond anything you could ever imagine? And he said, they want video of you going to the precinct in downtown LA in a jumpsuit with cuffs, a perp walk. Now, I'm what you call a prudent woman. I don't like to say cheap, and I never thought I would say this to an expensive attorney, but I said, Alan, I don't care how much it costs. I don't care if I have to lose my fucking house. Never in a million years am I gonna let another woman, a gay person, a person of color, see me do a fucking perp walk because I pissed off this president and didn't do anything wrong. Never. I fought it tooth and nail. And I shouldn't have had to, and you shouldn't have to. A perp walk. The fuck is that? All right, I want to make you laugh too, because I feel like the best way to communicate is by making you laugh. So I was able to go on tour, because one thing even the president can't stop people from doing, thank God, is buying tickets. So this process it taught me a lot. Like all of my regular representatives got too scared. All the old white boys club, I call them the old white dinosaurs, the ones who won't hire me now. I just want you to know, in my career, I've made over $75 million for these guys, for these corporations. Yeah. I kept a lot of it too. So women, keep your money. Demand to be paid what the guys are paid. So yeah, I get a little shitty job offer now and again, oh, poor Kathy Griffin, she's on the way down. I'm doing a speech at Oxford next week, motherfuckers. I'm not on the way down. I have a new career. I have built and changed my business model in a different way. And like Paltrow was talking about, I started a mailing list and a text list. And I know that sounds probably archaic to you guys, but that's what sold out my tour. I sold out Carnegie Hall in less than 12 hours. Yeah. And then the old white guys didn't know what to do with me. So then I had the Live Nation boys call me up and, they were mad at me because I said, I think I can play bigger venues. So I started what's called four-walling and promoting my own shows. So I actually played Radio City Music Hall the night before Carnegie just as a fuck you, which no comedian has ever done. I also have 2 Emmys. I have a Grammy for Best Comedy Album. I'm one of only 3 women in the history of the Grammys to win for Best Comedy Album. I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most televised stand-up comedy specials of any comedian, living or dead, male or female. And yet I just did a special that I funded myself that nobody will touch. So I thought, when this stuff happens to you, get ready to start rethinking the way you live your life. So I hired a marketing firm from DC, Cambridge Analytica, perhaps you've heard of it. I'm kidding. And that's how I found, I had to find my new fan base, right? So I started promoting shows myself, and I made 3 times more money when I promoted the shows myself than working with a promoter. I know how to hire the ushers, the concessions, the electricians, and so for South by Southwest, I buried the lead. Okay, so I couldn't sell a special, right? But I knew I was onto something because I ended up doing 25 countries, and I played the Sydney Opera House, and I was selling really well, but still nobody in television will even talk to me or take a meeting or any of that shit. So I remembered when I was young, you would go see comedy in theaters. So I thought, what if I could take this special and make it a concert tour film, and it's premiering at South by Southwest next month? Yes! I'm a film mogul. And yes, my little merch store, you can laugh at it. Sometimes I make $1,000 in a day, sometimes 19,000, but I sell mugs that say fuck Trump, and Robert De Niro bought one, and that's all I care about. And so I'm always thinking of new ways to do business. I would really love to do paid speaking engagements because I want to tell younger people, disenfranchised people in any way, my story and why it shouldn't happen to them. When I was off the no-fly list, I was put on the Interpol list. So every country I played, I was detained. I want to tell you something. There's a lot of myths going around that they can't take your device or your SIM card. They can. They did it to me, and they can. They can do it at LAX. So I was detained, in Singapore. I had a show that night at 8 o'clock. And I'm in the detention room, I don't know what the fuck is on my passport to this day. I've filed 3 FOIAs, which I think they're slow walking. But they can do that. They can put something on your passport. I don't know what the fuck mine says. Big ISIS queen. All right, so anyway, another thing that I just want to tell you, and this is what I'll leave you with, and hopefully it'll make you laugh and blow your mind. But one of the reasons that this whole situation impedes my ability, even in the future, to, like I said, just even make a living in television, which is how I became the Kathy Griffin business. And this letter came to me a couple days after the photo, and it was from one of the board members of CBS, which is then run by a big rapist named Les Moonves. Fuck him. All right. Oh, really? We have a Les Moonves apologist? Fuck him. Fuck you, Leslie. You're such a piece of shit. All right, anyway, so this is from a board member from CBS. So if you think blacklists aren't real, here's the proof. This board member was obviously a really big Trump fan, but I just got to read you the letter, and I hope you laugh. All right, Kathy, it's obvious that somehow you have to get to Trump himself, who has been known to be compassionate. Love you guys. However, it's not over till it's over. You have one chance left if you send the following letter, and then in caps, not an email, to the president. Caps, don't change a word of it. And then he writes, go to Google for how to address the president and where to send it. Yeah, this is a board member of CBS, okay? All right, you will exclusively release the letter to Fox Broadcasting Fox News. You will not send it to the other networks. I think this letter will get you over the mess. Now, this is a letter that he wrote for me, and I'm sure you would all support me and want me to send it right away. Dear Mr. President, remember these are his words, please, I beg you not to stop reading. Like he reads. You don't have to beg him, okay? Trust me, he's not reading. I have done a terrible thing. No, I didn't, all right? I did something offensive, all right. I was attempting to appeal to my audience, not thinking of the effect on you and your family. Okay, like they haven't recovered from the fucking Access Hollywood tape, please. Not thinking how misguided I was. What I did was beyond oblivious to humanity. Are you guys okay? I didn't mean to hurt humanity with a picture. I am now being lectured by friends who have supported you. I don't have any friends who supported him. I'm gonna be honest, I fucking cut him off. How warped and misguided I was. My stupidity is overwhelming. That's what I'm gonna say to President Orange, dumbass? I don't think so. Like he knows state capitals, right? All right, anyway. I do not deserve what I am asking of you. I am begging you to open your heart and forgive me. I have done a terrible thing and have lost my career and my life. I'm alive. I'm fucking white knuckling it, but I'm alive. My career is over and I lost the respect of my audience. I spent my entire life to get wherever I was in stand-up, only to lose it forever. 2 Emmys and a Grammy, motherfucker. That's where I am. Your forgiveness is to allow me to live my life, I like the pun, with my head held high. I would have done like an emoji, like a wink. But then I would have been probably arrested. All right. Knowing that I'm a good person and forever repenting for the hurt I have caused. Thank you, sir, for hearing meh plea. The reason I say that is because he typed MEH for instead of my plea, and I can't read it to you without saying, thank you for hearing meh plea. Then he writes for me, respectfully, Kathy Griffin. And this board member of CBS finishes by writing, Kathy, I have spent the last hour and a half composing this letter. Please don't call me to discuss it. Just do it. If you don't do exactly what I have written, your career is over. Conversely, I think this letter will get the world to forgive you, even if he doesn't respond. Know your rights. Read up on them. When you travel outside the country, contact people who can help you if you get in trouble. You can get in trouble for saying the littlest thing. The First Amendment is under attack, truly. And the way to change it, and I'm so glad Chairman Schiff is after me, is by elections, not just the presidential, not every 4 years, every year there's elections. Know the down ballot, know the superintendent. Those are people that may affect your life even more than the highest offices. So that's how we make real change. Thank you.